Hi, this is Kit with Scrapbook Warehouse, and today we're going to be stamping using stencils. We use this method so we can create gorgeous backdrops for thank you cards, anniversary cards, and more. So first off, you want to create your background. And I'm going to pick a few of my favorite oxide inks, and I'm playing with a new one today, Lucky Clover, using Salty Ocean as well as Peacock Feathers. You want to use an extra piece of cardstock to hold down your stamp background so you don't get any finger marks on your ink. You can dry between your layers or not, depending if you want a more blended or layered look. It's up to you. Now, once we're done with this background, I'm actually going to set it aside to dry overnight. Otherwise, the stencil stamping method looks really blurry and it can look really nice depending, but and sometimes it does not look so good. So we want a more crisp image when we're doing our stenciling. So I'm just going to use a little bit more of the Salty Ocean to pull in the blue at the other end of the background, and I'm pretty much done. Here is a backdrop that I prepared earlier and had dry overnight. I'm going to use my anti-static cling pouch to get rid of any finger marks, put down a piece of white copy paper and use Versamark ink all over my stencil. And then I'm going to place that on top of my card back, use a piece of cardstock to press firmly all over the stencil, and that will transfer all the Versamark onto my card backing. Now I'll put some white embossing powder and out comes my beautiful image. Flick the back for any extra dust. If you can see, this one I didn't let dry overnight and it has a more distressed vintagey look. Now I'm going to use my heat gun to set all that white embossing powder. Once that is finished, really happy with how that turned out. This is the earlier card that I made, and I'm just going to cut the word thanks out of my card front. It just takes a bit of playing around to figure out where I want the word to sit. Just choose based on whatever looks best to you. Run that through the die cut machine and save all those letters because you can use them on a separate card later on, or you can put them inside the card to fall out when the person opens it up, a little bit like confetti. It's sort of a fun little extra. So now I'm going to prepare my card backing, and I'm going to use the repositionable dots, and you really want to make it heavy all around the edges of those letters so they don't pop up. Then I'll use my tape runner, and I'm ready to put it on my card base. I use gravity to help me line up along the bottom, and I'm a little bit over, so I'm just going to trim off the extra. Now that I've cut the word thanks out of white cardstock, I'm going to slowly glue each letter in using the Quickie glue pen. Make sure you do only one letter at a time because this glue does dry quickly. So you'll notice that I'm doing the middle of each of the letter first and then the tops and bottoms of them. That's because, like I said, it dries fast and I don't want the letters to start peeling out. And those tiny ends can stick up sometimes. So now that I've got that all done, I've got a little bit extra to trim off. It always just seems the case. Nothing's ever quite perfectly cut. I'm going to use the Versamark ink for my final sentiment and some white embossing powder for the beautiful words, "You are the best." I'll use my heat gun to set that. I'll trim that off, and then I'll cut the ends to make it look like a ribbon. Now here's a fun part. You can take your black cardstock and cut two very thin pieces. Make sure you cut lots of extras in case you rip them. Do a knot at one end and push it all the way to the end and flatten that out and snip off the strings, and do the same at the other end of it. We're going to use this to make a really cool little embellishment. You could use a ribbon if you liked, but this is something really special and neat. Now I'm going to use black pop-up foam squares, and not everybody knows that they have these, but it's great when you're working with a dark card or black cardstock because then they don't show as much. I'm going to cut them in half, and this is going to hold down my string and my sentiment all at once. I'm going to peel off the backing on those pop-ups, and now I'm going to play around. Now this takes a little bit of fiddling. It's happily not frustrating. Be gentle so you don't rip your paper, but it's surprisingly strong, and you can sort of play around to see what looks good to your eye, and then make sure you put your sentiment up the right way, like I almost did not, and that will hold everything together. Use a pokey tool to pull it out and make it look good. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and comment, let us know what you think. And as always, happy crafting!